Last week, Jagex raised the Grand Exchange tax from 1% to 2%, making it even harder for new players to build wealth. In this video, I'll show you how to flip with a small cash stack and avoid Grand Exchange taxes, all while finding profitable margins. This guide will primarily be focused on players with smaller cash stacks who are newer to flipping, but this strategy works for anyone. Before I explain how we can avoid taxes, let's talk about how the Grand Exchange tax works. So every time you sell an item on the Grand Exchange, your sell offer is subject to a tax, which is now at a rate of 2%. This means that for every flip you make on the Grand Exchange, your sell offer has to be at least 2% higher than your buy price, or you're going to lose money. Lucky for us though, there is one small loophole available where you won't be subject to tax, which is for items that are under 50 GP. This limit used to be 100 GP, but recently they dropped it to the 50 GP mark, which narrows down our options for tax-free flipping. But don't worry, I still have some amazing items that you can flip, which I'll share in this video. How this tax-free flipping strategy works is by focusing on the 50 GP and under price range, we can avoid Grand Exchange tax overall and save some money. We'll also gain some additional benefits too, as a lot of the items in this price range that are worth flipping are also high volume items, which means they are some of the most traded items in the entire game. High volume items carry a lot less risk when compared to items that are traded less frequently. This gives us a lot of confidence that when we make a trade, it will be highly likely to succeed. While the strategy we're showcasing today works for both active flipping and overnight flipping, we're only going to focus on overnights in this video, as it's much more profitable compared to active flipping. If you're unsure the difference between active flipping and overnight flipping, I highly recommend you check out my complete beginner's guide to flipping, which covers both types in a lot of detail. Let's start by covering how to use this strategy with overnight flipping. With overnights, you'll be listing your offers before signing off for the night, or whenever you won't be able to play the game for the next 6 to 12 hours. Our goal is to list 8 different buy offers on items which are under the 50 GP mark, with the intent to sell them back the next time we sign on for a tax-free profit. It's important to spread out your gold as equally as you can across every single Grand Exchange slot, as this will reduce overall risk. You never want to stash all your gold in 1 or 2 flips, even if the margin looks really strong, because if the flip doesn't end up working out, you're going to lose money. And one of the most important things when you have a small cash stack or you're new to flipping is consistent returns, so you really want to avoid risky situations early on. Having 8 separate flips listed is a lot safer because if 1 or 2 of the flips don't work out, the profit from the other 6 flips will make up for the loss and you can still profit overall. Before I hop into the live example, one of the biggest questions I get when making these guides is what items should I flip? For tax-free flipping, it should be fairly simple, as anything with a high volume that is under the 50 GP mark should work. I'll cover some good items in this video, but I've already gone ahead and compiled my favorite tax-free flips into a spreadsheet, which you can find completely for free in the description below on my Patreon page. This flipping list should serve as a great starting point for finding tax-free items. In addition to my flipping list, Jagex also designated some items as beginner friendly, and they are not subject to tax, although they are over 50 GP. I'll leave a link in the description below to all of those items. We're at the Grand Exchange. I have 5 mil in my inventory. This is night 1 of tax-free flipping. Like I mentioned earlier in the guide, all the flips we're going to list are going to be under 50 GP so we can avoid the Grand Exchange tax. And I think you'll be surprised how profitable these tax-free items can actually be. I have plenty of good items in mind for what we can flip, but if you want to find some new items on your own that are not on my flipping list, an easy way to do it is to go to the prices website here, and all you need to do is filter under InstaSell and make it less than or equal to 50 GP. And what this is going to do is filter out every item obviously out of this range, and it'll make it very easy to find flips that are in the tax-free zone. On top of this too, what I'll do is actually add a volume. I'm going to say greater than 500,000 trades will be good enough, and that'll make all of the flips that we're looking at tax-free and high enough volume to where I know we'll be able to flip it. Using this list, I'll source every single flip in this video. And the first flip we're going to list is the adamant bolts. Now you can see the adamant bolts have been trading between a range of about 40 to 50 GP, so falling under that tax-free range. And I think if we list them at 41 GP and try to sell them back tomorrow around 48 or 49 GP, we'll have no problem securing that margin. That'll give us 6 to 7 GP for every single adamant bolt that we flip. We'll go and try and list a full limit of the adamant bolts. Remember that we only have 5 million GP and we want to spread our cash stack out across 8 different slots, which means roughly we can spend 625k on each slot. But for now, we'll just leave this at 450k in here and we'll let that flip. Another flip that I know is good is the adamant dart. This is a super consistent flip, and if we list these at 16 GP with the intent to sell them back around 18 or 19 GP, I know we can secure a safe, easy 2 to 3 GP margin, and if we get 2 buy limits of these, it's actually going to end up being a lot of money. It could be a 66k flip, best case scenario. Another item I found is the Forester's Ration. I've actually never flipped this item, but it looks like it'll be pretty good. The volume is definitely high enough at 5.3 million trades a day, and the margin seems to bounce between 42 to 47 GP on average, but getting up to 50 GP at times. There might be better items we could do for this one just because the limit is 6k and they're almost at that 50 GP mark, so it'll be a little bit more expensive, but no worries, I want to try this out, so we'll list a few limits. We're listing maple logs next. We're going to try and buy them for 21 GP each, which the graph is hitting occasionally, but it might not work out for us. Although if it does, we're going to get a 3 to 4 GP margin, and the buy limit is 15,000 for every 4 hours, which means that this actually has a higher profit potential than most of our other items. I'm going to list the buckets of sand next. I flipped buckets of sand in the past a lot, and they are relatively consistent. It looks like the bottom price is holding pretty steady at about 12 GP, and the low prices that we can sell for looks like about 14 GP, but getting all the way up to about 18 GP at times, which means this could be a really good flip for us. Considering that the buy limit is 13k, we're going to list 2 limits, which should be 26,000, and we'll see how that works out. You'll start to notice how evenly I have my money spread out. I'm being very cautious on night 1 to make sure we spread our money as equally as possible. It is a bad habit to get into flipping only like 4 to 5 slots and not spreading your money out. So make sure when you're learning early on and you have a smaller cash stack, you really are putting money into every single slot. It is very important for early gains. Iron darts seem to be really up and down recently, but we might be able to buy them for 7 GP and sell them back for around 17 GP, which would be incredible. The only thing to note here is that the iron darts actually have a lower buy limit than most of the other items we're doing. We can only buy 6,000 of them every 4 hours, which is going to make this a little bit tricky, but we'll go ahead and list about 14,000 of them. Another item we're sniping out right now is the lava runes. You'll see on the weekly price that it's looking like it's about at its average low price for the week, excluding this dip that was very random. You'll see a huge volume spike there, definitely abnormal for the lava runes. But if we look at the day, you can see the price is down a fair bit. So I do think we'll be able to buy these around 21 GP each. Hopefully we'll have a swing back upwards to the upside in the morning and be able to sell them for around 26 to 28 GP. And listing these lava runes is our last flip that we're listing for tonight. We're going to let this sit for the next 8 hours. I'll log on in the morning and see how we do. The only item that we have 3 buy limits on is the iron darts and the steel darts. That is because it's super cheap to get 3 limits of these. I mean, 42k for a 2 GP margin there, which is not an insane margin by any means. But when you're working with a 5 mil cash stack, you do have to flip these smaller margins sometimes. And don't forget, tax-free, we're not paying taxes, so this is going to be a very easy way to secure some high volume, strong margins, and start to build up our cash stack in a very safe way. Before we sign off for the night, I just want to note that if an item still starts buying when you're online, as long as you've listed it correctly near its daily low price, don't worry about it too much. When this happens, it just means the item has moved down a little bit earlier than you would have liked, but the flip is likely to work out overall. In this case, with the adamant bolts, the only thing I'm going to do with them is adjust it so we're buying 2 buy limits instead of 1, since I do have some leftover cash. Alright, all the flips listed for night 1. Let's check back in the morning, hopefully to a full green grand exchange, and look at our profits. It is the next morning, and all of our flips worked out for the most part, besides the maple logs, which we only bought like 2,000 of them, so we'll still make a little bit of money, but the buckets of sand, we only bought 168, so that flip didn't really work out, and that just goes to show the power of flipping in 8 item slots. 2 of our flips didn't work out, but the other 6 worked out to a decent extent. Anyway, just as we did before, I'm going to go back and sell these offers. What I'll do is aim for the daily high price for everything, list everything back, and see how much profit we've made. Everything has sold. That is a 460k profit. It's about a 20% ROI on our cash stack. You can see just how OP flipping overnight is with tax-free items. We'll go ahead and collect that cash. That's going to be a 5.4 mil cash stack. Now, that might not seem like an amazing gain to some of you with larger cash stacks, but keep in mind, every single item we flipped was 1, under 50 GP, and 2, we only used a 5 mil cash stack to start, which is really not that much money. For night 2, I'm going to do the exact same thing, flipping items underneath 50 GP to make some tax-free profit. I'll do it tonight, but one thing I want to point out is if you ever see a margin that is only 1 GP, it's really not worth flipping. I'm just going to flip flax as an example, as it's a 1 GP flip that is super easy, but you don't want to flip 1 GP margins unless you're doing a completely passive method where you're not really logging in for a couple weeks. So just keep that in mind. Try to aim for at least a 2 GP margin, if not more. Items that are really good are items that have a high buy limit. For example, the dust runes have a buy limit of 18k every 4 hours. I've gone ahead and put 3 limits in for the dust rune just in case I'm off for like 8 hours and 30 minutes, because that'll give it time to make another buy offer fill out. But that's a really good item. Jugs of water as well. Items with high buy limits when they're tax-free are really good. The last one we're going to put in is grapes. We can't do the full limit because we don't have quite enough money, but we can do slightly under, and we'll see if that works out. All of the overnights are listed, and now we'll just cross our fingers. It is the morning after our second round of flips, and we've had a lot of buy activity overnight. This is amazing. The only item that didn't buy at all is the broad bolts. Besides that, we have a little bit of every single offer filled. As always, I'm going to turn around and list everything on the Grand Exchange and see just how much money we can make. And look at that, everything has sold. We made a 733k profit, really strong overnight profit, and paid 0 taxes on it all. We made 188k on the jugs of water. That was our best flip. 177k on the grapes and 175k on the dust runes. So those really generated us a lot of profit. I just love tax-free flipping overnight. It can generate so much money for a small cash stack. We're already up to 6.2 mil in 2 nights flipping with a 5 mil start. Let's list our items for night 3. The goal tonight is to make as much money as possible. I'm going to try and break the 1 mil mark with our 6.2 mil cash stack. Since runes typically have really high limits, I'm going to go ahead and flip the lava rune, an 18k buy limit, and this looks like it's bouncing off the 21 GP mark consistently throughout the day. You'll see multiple times it's hitting down at this price point, so we're going to list a few limits of that. The jug of water is another great one that we've been doing, and I'm a little bit unsure about it though, because it doesn't really look like it's going to go back down to 20 GP. It might go back down to 21 GP, but over like the past 3 hours, it stood at 23 GP and higher. So I think I'm going to list at 21 GP and hope for the best. I went ahead and listed the iron darts as well. This is one that also did very well for us, and the pattern looks the exact same as the last time we flipped it, buying for around 8 GP and selling for around 19 to 20 GP. Using this exact same methodology, I'm going to go fill up the rest of the Grand Exchange. All right, I have 8 amazing overnight items listed. We're going to leave this overnight. I still have 1 mil in my inventory as well, so didn't even need to use all the money. We'll let the Grand Exchange do its magic and check on it in the morning. It is the next morning, and luckily for us, every single item had at least a little bit of buying activity, which is awesome. As usual, we're going to turn around and sell everything, and I'll walk you through an example of how I'm picking the sell price. Let's use the lava runes as an example. Now, we bought all of our lava runes for 21 GP each, and we want to sell them back over the next couple hours. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at these swings between the daily low price and the daily high price, very similar to how I set buy offers, except we're just going to set a sell offer. So as you can see, I listed them for 21 GP each, which a few of them bought overnight. And over the past 24 hours or so, they're easily selling for 28 GP. I think we can reasonably sell for 28 GP, considering that about 30 minutes ago, they actually got up to 28 GP. I love flipping because it's a mix between a science and an art, so sometimes you have to feel it out and hope you're going to make a little bit of money listing above margins. But in this example, it's pretty much all science, quote unquote, and we'll go ahead and list these lava runes back to the Grand Exchange at 28 GP. We'll just continue to do that for every single offer here on the Grand Exchange, get everything listed, and look at how much we've made. All of our offers are listed back on the exchange. Now we're going to wait like 2 to 3 hours. We'll come back and look at our profit. Back on the account, and every single item has sold. That is a 993k profit, just shy of 1 mil. It's honestly crazy how much money you can make flipping tax-free, and it blows my mind how many players don't take advantage of the Grand Exchange every single night. Let's collect this cash and we'll do a recap. 7.19 mil cash stack. We made a 2.19 mil profit flipping completely tax-free over 3 nights. If you have a smaller cash stack and you're looking for items that you're not going to pay any tax on that have strong margins, I'd highly recommend flipping under the 50 GP range. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and comment in the comment section below if you have any questions. More than happy to help you guys out. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.